Welcome and thanks for joining me today as we install Dell Wyse Device Manager 5.0 Workgroup Edition. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and find our installation media, which is in a zip format. We're going to unpack it, at which point the installation should begin automatically. I've gone ahead and copied that media to the C drive, so I'm simply launching it from there. We're installing today on Windows Server 2012 R2, so the first thing that's going to happen now that the files are unpacked is it's going to install the Microsoft.NET Framework 3.5. You can install that ahead of time if you like, or you can let the installer do it itself. Go ahead and click through the EULA screen once you've accepted everything. And at this point, we're going to change from the default of Enterprise to Workgroup Edition. On the next screen, you're going to see that all of the components are grayed out because in Workgroup Edition, everything is installed on a single server. For the database, we're going to stick with SQL Express 2008 R2. So all we need to do at this point is change the password, or actually define a password. And on the next page, we're going to choose how we want the software repository configured. So we're going to stick with the HTTPS protocol, and we're going to assign a password to the default username of Rapport. You have the opportunity to change usernames as well if you prefer. And lastly, let's choose the services we want to install. I just added the ThreadX service as this is the service that's necessary for managing Teradici devices. And I stuck with the default configuration location. At this point, WDM is going to configure the Windows firewall and then start the SQL Server database installation, followed by the WDM repository services and management console. So at this point, you're pretty well hands-off for a while, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, depending on your server. So we'll let that run. Okay, it looks like the install is completed and we just need to reboot the server. And with the server back online, let's open the Wyse Device Manager 5.0 console and see what it looks like. And we've installed it in evaluation mode at this point, so we'll go ahead and continue the evaluation. But we need to activate that license. So clicking on Device Manager, nothing's checked in yet. Under Configuration Manager, we see licensing. You see now that Wyse Device Manager actually supports 10,000 devices in Workgroup Edition by default. And so we're going to go ahead and activate that key to keep from expiring that 31-day trial. So what I've done is clicked on the properties for the license and then go ahead and click on the rapportlicensing.com link. It'll bring you to a web form to fill out. Go ahead and give it your contact information along with the sales key and the non-activated key. When you click the Get Activation Code link button, rather, it will provide a activation key that you can use to complete the form. Then click next and it'll congratulate you. Click finish and you'll see that it's now an activated license key. So the next thing we need to do is actually set it up so that a device will check in and make sure everything's working properly. So I've actually had a 491 WDM server in place. So what I need to do is update my SRV record to point from the previous 491 server to the new WDM 5 server. So you see I'm changing the name of the SRV record here. And same thing for Teradici devices, you need to update the SRV record specific for those P series, P20s, P25s, and P45 devices to point to the new server. I wouldn't recommend this in a production environment, but this is a lab and I actually have both the DHCP scope option and the SRV record set up so I can test various scenarios from time to time. So I'm actually going to show you how to set up both today. So I was just checking the IP address of the new WDM server, and then I'm going back to my DHCP server, updating scope option 186 to the IP address of the new WDM server. So at this point, I should have updated all my records that are telling the devices how to check in. And I've got a ThinOS device running here, actually a D10DP that will fire up, and we'll reset it to default so that it pulls the new WDM address information, and we'll verify that it checks in. So we'll see as the device is coming up here. Hopefully it will check into the new server. We should see it momentarily. And H-agent checked into HTTPS WDM 5 workgroup. So looks like that worked perfectly. Let's refresh the device manager. And there you see the device attached.